All right, let's talk a little bit about what's happening for this weekend for the workshop. One of the things that Steve asked me a couple of weeks ago is, hey, would you be able to talk about doing your colorization workshop, which I've done a couple of times. You see an example of it over my shoulder here. I've done that one a few times in there, but I told Steve, I said, hey, I said, I've actually been working on some new stuff that I think might be interesting in here. And that what I wanted to be able to talk about was how we could do that to be able to see, to be able to do these for doing either 3D stereo conversions, which is what we're looking at here. You can take this and you can actually take a 2D image and then automatically convert it by using grayscale into 3D. I've actually done this manually a number of times before. It takes quite a while to be able to do this. It can take several hours to be able to do this. But within the last year or two, artificial intelligence has actually really progressed. And the ability to be able to do this now in just a few minutes is actually there. It's not perfect. I'm going to show you some of the things, some of the limitations and some of the things you can do. But for example, I took this image and ran it through a process in there. I'm going to show you free versions as well as paid versions to be able to do that. And I can take that and convert that from here into 3D. And we'll just do that right here. Oops, let's actually just get the right one. There we go. We'll take that and we'll convert that. And now this is 3D. So if you have your anaglyph classes, here is that same image in 3D. We just made it that quick to be able to do that. Let me show you a couple of other ones. I actually have a couple of others available in here. We'll take a look at a few others here. So let's actually just take a look at another one here. Again, we can do this very quick. We're just going to go here and open this up. I'm going to talk about exactly how to be able to create this in here, and we'll see how to be able to do that. And we'll see some of the things that are some of the limitations and some of the things that we can do to be able to correct that. So let's just look at a handful of others here to be able to see the type of things that we're going to talk about. And then I'm going to talk about how to do the colorization as well. This one obviously is a photo that did not require colorization, but I thought it was a good image just to be able to show overall the type of things that you can do from there. So just a lot of fun to be able to actually create a 3D image from your 2D if you don't have a 3D one to be able to do that, and we can do those there. Now, in addition to doing that, what Steve had actually asked me originally for was, can you go through and do your workshop on colorization? And this is an example of one that I had done. I've done that workshop a few times. In fact, we have a recording of that is actually now one of the recording workshop tutorial videos that's available through the 3D Club in there. This one here, this actually took me about 3 or 4 days to be able to do it. And because there's a lot of trees, a lot of color, a lot of things to be able to do in here for that. And when I was going through and doing the workshop last year, I was going through the process and showing people how to do it in Photoshop. There was some questions that some people asked towards the end, and they said, hey, can your computer do it automatically? Is there an automatic way to be able to do that? And I had said no at that time because I had looked at the technology a few years ago. It wasn't available. It really wasn't working right to be able to do that. But that's improved greatly. So let's actually take a look a little bit about what it is that we can do. Let's go over here. Let me open this up again in here. And I'm going to go in here and we'll just open up some of the ones that we can actually do and do in color in here for this. So the image that we had taken a look at over here, this is one that I hand colored, and again, it took it about 3 or 4 days. Let's actually just take a look at that now, and let's take a look at that image. I'm going to bring in the black and white version for that. So here's the black and white version for that. And now I took a computer program, which I'll show you during the workshop on Saturday. I took that, and within about 2 minutes was able to produce this as a full color. So let's actually just take a look at that as a color stereo in here to be able to see that. And you can see how quickly and easily it is to be able to produce that. There is some limits to that. We'll talk about those. There is some things that you can see that it does really well for, and there's some things that it has some limits on. So let's take a look at a couple of others in here. So this is another black and white one that we see in here for that. And then let's look at the color comparison for that. So the same image in color in here. And again, this is literally about 1 to 2 minutes worth of work to be able to produce this, to be able to get this type of image in here. Let's look at another one in here for this, another black and white one, and another color one in here. Let's actually just look at that one in color for that. Really quick, really easy to be able to produce this in here versus what you were able to do previously. Now, there are some challenges. There are some things in here where it's like, yeah, it did a really great job. And then there are some things where when you look at it, it just does an absolutely horrible job, and that you would never want to be able to share that. So for example, this is the image that is actually on the site talking about the colorization. This is one that was done automatically, and you can see it doesn't live up to what it should be. A lot of black areas in there, a lot of limits in there. But I'm going to show you how to be able to fix those things, how to be able to take care of those things. And we'll talk about that and how to be able to produce that, so you can, instead of spending half a day, or actually multiple days in this particular case, to be able to do something with a lot of detail in there, you're going to be able to go in there and you're going to be able to produce an image in here that would be able to go in and to be able to get you something like that, from that to something like this, literally in just a minute or two. It's actually really easy to be able to do that, particularly if you don't have the time or interest to be able to learn the skills necessary to do that. So that's what we're going to be talking about this weekend. Questions about the workshop, about what we're talking about, what we're covering, about what's going to go on there. I'm happy to be able to answer those if anybody has questions on that.
Hey, David, I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
How would you compare this automatic process to your process where you take, a day and a half to 2 days on the images? Is it close, 80% to what you can do?
Actually, here's what I really like about it. When I do something like this, the problem that I have with an image like this is that there are so many little things, and that's what takes so long to be able to do it. When I go in there and do it, and an auto colorization in there to be able to do that, the things that take hours to days to be able to do, I can now do it in minutes in there. It's not perfect to be able to do it, but it does a really, really good job to be able to do that. Where I need to be able to go in and actually, let me show you something. I actually did one. I forgot I have one here that I did. Let me bring up a different window here. I actually had done this one in here, and I'll show you an example of one. Let me see if I can find the original. I'd share that. Let's see if I have it here for this, in here for this. And I'm not seeing it right here. So I have the images in there, that some of the detail in there as we're looking at them, the quality of the details for what you're seeing in there is really good for really intimate details and things like this. I actually think it's better than doing it by hand, because when I do it by hand, that for an image like this, I would do 60 to 80 layers in here. But if you're doing it with the automatic colorization, the number of layers for me to be able to reproduce this would be into the thousands. So it's not practical for me to be able to do it. On the other hand, it limits what you can do when you go into certain images, and that for certain images that it's like, oh, it has no idea what's going on, and it really just lost the control or visibility to that. And that's where you need to be able to see about how to be able to correct it. So I'll talk about some of those in there as well, and how to be able to fix some of those type of things, and what we can do to be able to correct those. Let me see if I can find one here. But basically, that's the thing, is for lots of small details, it's terrific. For certain images, it doesn't work, and you need to be able to go in and to be able to massage it a bit in there to be able to do that. But it does a really good job overall for things in there for that. And I'm going to go through and
what time is that workshop, and where can they reach it?
It is going to be at 10 o'clock on Saturday, and the link is going to be the same link that we're using right here today. So it's actually just going to be available just through the same link that you used to be able to get to this meeting today. So it's easy to get to.
Thank you.
Any other questions about what we're talking about in here? I will go through and I'll show you again. I'll show you examples there on Saturday, and we'll talk about ones where there are images and there are issues in here. In fact, yeah, I just found one. Let me show you this. So I'll show you an example of one in here where it had some issues, and then how that I was able to fix that. So let me bring up one here. So here is an example. This is one in here that I did of Erwin Rommel. This is everything that was done directly from within the system. No assistance from me, nothing in there for that. And you notice in here that the uniform is just completely crazy. The skin tones, the background, all of those things look great, and it did a great job with that. But the uniform isn't right in here for that. And so I went in there and I manually adjusted it and fixed it so that it had the correct colors in there to be able to do that. So here it is, the way that it was produced. And here are the adjustments that I made to be able to make it the way that I wanted to be able to have it for the finished image for that. So we're going to talk about those type of things when the auto colorization goes crazy. How do you fix that? And then how can you get decent results in there? So that's just an example of something like that of where the limits are, and we'll talk about the limits and again how to be able to fix those as well to be able to take care of that.
Okay.